There isn't one single thing that creates a disordered relationship with food. And having disordered eating patterns doesn't necessarily mean someone has an eating disorder. Sometimes our relationship with food begins long before we ever make conscious choices about it. Think about the 1940s. During World War II, families were literally taught to think differently about food. Rationing encouraged people to stress ingredients, carefully consider what they used, and avoid waste and hoarding. Companies and government agencies reinforced those messages. Now, imagine being raised, which I can tell you, by parents who lived through that. Food beliefs can become generational. Don't waste that, save this, you don't know when you'll have it again. Sometimes those stories reach further back. Families can carry narratives shaped by poverty, migration, famine, war, or periods when food simply wasn't guaranteed. And scarcity doesn't have to be historical. Financial stress can change the way we think about food right now. When groceries are expensive, questions like, what am I going to eat? How much can I afford? When can I eat again? They can naturally take up more mental space. Then we add another cultural pressure, our bodies. We're living in a time of enormous attention to weight, thinness, dieting, wellness culture, and weight loss medications. Food can become connected not only to nourishment, but also to belonging, attractiveness, identity, control, and acceptance. This is partially what I, as an ISSA certified GLP-1 coach in this current era of thin ovation, this is what I work with. There is an intensified culture of the pursuit of thinness, and it's kind of like what the gold rush did for money. And that means that we experience things that aren't eating disorders, but similar. So there's an influence on our beliefs, our behaviors that we're developing around food. As a certified health coach with a background in mindfulness-based psychology, I'm really interested in the questions underneath the behavior. What did food mean in your family? Was there enough? Was wasting food considered shameful? Was your body commented on? Did food represent comfort, celebration, control, love, or belonging? In my home as a child, we had food scarcity. And even in that space, there are foods that I attach to represent different things. My body was sexualized for being curvy, which is prevalent for so many others that I've talked to. And proportionally, this body sexualization is more predominant for young women of color. Between my desires to be thin, to the struggles to not eat my feelings, I am continually questioning what behavior change could show up if I got more curious. Sometimes a behavior that looks unusual from the outside makes more sense when we become curious about the story underneath it. And that's the distinction I really want to make when we watch clips like this one that I'm going to show you. I'm not diagnosing the person on the screen. I'm using the moment to help us become curious about the patterns we may carry ourselves. So I grew up in Utah, and so I understand the complexities of image that gets intertwined into every kid growing up there. When you cross into the border on Utah, especially in these cities, the open spaces become billboard after billboard, and they're recommending hair implants, bankruptcies, and million-dollar houses, one after the other. Now, when I saw this episode of America's Cheapest Mother from the extreme Cheapskates on TLC, there were immediate cues that I noticed. Paige is the mother from Utah who is featured, and it starts off with the way that she rations out the juice.
The juice, we water it down big time. 1 part juice to 5 parts water. It's all about not wasting anything, and the way to do that is, we call it rationing. I'm gonna give you guys some cereal, okay? We're gonna give you 14, so tell me when to stop. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Remember, you need to eat all your Cheerios, or next time you only get 12.
And this is where I become less interested in how much money she's saving and more interested in what the saving is doing for her psychologically.
Shortly after we were married, an opportunity arose for us to build what we thought would be our forever home. Things changed with the economy really fast, and suddenly we couldn't qualify for the loan for the house, but we had already built the house.
Losing the house really triggered, in my opinion, her being an extreme cheapskate.
Now, one of the things I want us to notice is that coping strategies don't happen in isolation. Sometimes that makes one family member feel safe, and it may make another family member feel less safe at that time or even later in life.
Eat every bite of food on your plate, pick up every penny you see.
When someone has experienced financial instability or scarcity, conserving resources can sometimes become connected to the feeling of predictability and safety. Saving the dollar isn't necessarily the entire reward anymore. The sense of control or security that comes with saving it may become rewarding too. Although Paige's partner shared that losing their house felt like a turning point, we don't know enough about Paige or her experiences to say why she developed these particular behaviors. Instead, this becomes an opportunity for any of us who have experienced loss or scarcity to get curious about how these experiences may have shaped us. Can the person choose when to use the behavior, or does the behavior seem to be choosing for them? Why does one person turn to frugality and another turn to abundant consumption? In my example, I fell into the state of consumption and feared not having enough food in cycles in my life as an adult. One question I find particularly interesting is, can we choose when to use a behavior? Or does it sometimes feel as though the behavior is choosing for us? And why might two people respond to scarcity in seemingly opposite ways? One person may become extremely careful about conserving what they have, while another may feel safer when the pantry is overflowing, or when they can finally buy the things they once couldn't have. I can see that in my own life, during certain periods of adulthood, I moved towards consumption. There were times when not having enough food felt frightening to me, and having plenty available created its own sense of security. Neither response tells us everything about a person, but it does give us somewhere to become curious. What am I actually trying to create, though? What is the behavior creating? Is it saving money? Is it abundance? Or is it underneath both of those things? Am I just trying to feel safe? I think that this is something that we often don't even realize is going to come up in coaching, but it does. And that's when we get curious and mindful about the practices that we are using.